Alright guys, the time is now for a showdown between Brettonia, who's going to be led by the Fey Enchantress, and the Beastmen, who are going to be led by Malagor the Dark Peacock. So without further ado, let's jump right into this match and have some fun. So up here in the Vanguard area, I do have three groups of the Mounted Yeoman Archers. One of them, of course, is going to be the Wardens of Montfort, who just have better combat stats. Let's actually go ahead and check. So these guys have 18, 16, and 22. These bad boys actually have 23, 24, and 22, so it's going to make a little bit of a difference in their fights against Poison Hounds and Centaurs and things like that. But nonetheless, Mounted Yeoman Archers are actually a pretty good natural counter against a lot of the different troops that Beastmen bring. So firstly, one of the main strategies I see on ladder when I'm playing against the Beastmen as Brettonia is Cygor play. So you usually see the Eye of Morsleep, who's incredibly good against the Brettonians because he can annihilate heavy cav with his boulders, hits like a truck, and even if the heavy cav gets close or any sort of big threat, he can use a warp gaze to lock them in place, which is just so damn powerful. From there, he can continue to hit them with boulders, it allows Gorbals to get charges, and it's just really, really good. So essentially what you do is you just get Mounted Yeoman Archers, you sit them outside of the range of the defensive spears, because more often than not, you're just going to see like Cygors with spears protecting them. So these guys can get in position, they can harass the Cygors. Number two, if they go with Minotaurs, so Minotaurs with great weapons and standard Minotaurs are often used against Brettonian heavy cav. These guys are very good against the light armor of the Minotaurs, and yeah, they just give you a ton of utility on the battlefield. I like them quite a bit, and oftentimes they're not expected. Now, if the Beastmen were to bring like Poison Hounds and things like that, it could get a little bit messy, but you can always fall back to the defense of your infantry formation. So three groups of the Mounted Yeoman Archers. In the back, we do have one standard group of Mounted Yeomen, and they're just going to be there to harass. And when Beastmen troops either run away, we can chase them off the battlefield. We can use these guys against Poison Hounds because they actually are pretty efficient in that manner. Or we can go into the back line and try and take out Raiders, which are the natural counter against my Mounted Yeomen. But unfortunately, they're going to be taking a fat boulder to the face. Great way to start the game. So in the front line here, we have Spearmen at Arms with shields. These guys are a good choice because they have really high melee defense. Basically, you're just using them as a sponge, kind of like miners with blasting charges, just to take the initial beating. And then from there, you follow up with your Foot Squires. So Foot Squires are a decent choice against Beastmen infantry. They can usually beat pretty much all the Beastmen infantry with the exception of, actually, I don't know, I think dual-wielding Goreherds might be able to beat them, but something I have to do a little bit of testing with. But they can actually put a hurt in Bestigors. So if your opponent does go with a very heavy front line of Beastmen forces, it's nice to have a little bit of a backbone here with these Foot Squires, who you can stack with the Fey Enchantress and usually have pretty good results. On top of that, we have three groups of the Peasant Bowmen Archers with the Pox Arrows. They're basically there to counter Centaurs with Throwing Axes, to go after Cygors, and just give me some battlefield utility. In the back, we have three groups of Men-at-Arms, and I put the Men-at-Arms back here. You're probably wondering why I don't put Spears back here. Well, they're against Poison Hounds, and when the front line does inevitably falter, these guys can also follow up, but mainly they kill Hounds and Dogs faster, which the Beastmen often use in the back line to take out your Pox Arrows and stuff like that. So just kind of experimenting a little bit. And up in the skies, the last couple picks I do have here are Royal Hippogriff Knights. So these guys are actually pretty powerful. If they have Bestigors, like a single rear charge or just some perpetual pressure on Bestigors can tear them to pieces. They cause terror. They just give you this momentous threat throughout the battlefield that just can do a ton of work. Granted, they're very vulnerable. So if you let them get surrounded by Centaurs, or if Gorbals are just kind of beating on them and you lose a model, it can be really, really toxic. So you have to be very careful, but Royal Hippogriff Knights did have changes to their pathing, if I'm not mistaken. So they're a little bit more effective at piling in and actually doing damage now. Two Paladins, pretty much a staple as well. These guys are mobile. They have anti-large that hit fairly hard. They're a good counter. I mean, Gorbals will win one-on-one, but you have the flying advantage. So you can dictate the terms of the battle and usually get good engagements. On top of that, they're also pretty good against Cygors because they're anti-large. Cygors, of course, are very lightly armored for the most part. I think this guy's 50. Do they both have 50? Yeah, it looks like they have 50, but Paladins are very good against those guys. And for my opponent's build, let's go ahead and take a look. He has Spears in the front line, so very chaffy, pretty normal stuff. A couple of groups of Raiders here, which are going to be a little bit tricky. I definitely need to shut them down. And in the back, he has his meat and potatoes. He has the Blackhorns Ravagers, who are really beastly. These guys have 47 melee defense, massive HP pool. It's very tough for Brettonian infantry to deal with those guys. Goreherds here. Malagor, of course, is just there to summon Cygors. Yeah, Cygor play is really tough. If you guys remember back to the last Ever Chosen, I believe we had a game between Aerocrastic and Talaxla and Soothsayer, where Aerocrastic was able to win with the Beastmen using double Gorbal and Cygor play, and it was very, very strong. So it's a pretty competitive build here, and Chaos Sounds in the back. Without further ado, guys, let's get this show on the road. So right now I'm moving up with my Mounted Yeoman, taking some boulders to the face, which is lovely. My opponent's probably going to be switching to the Foot Squires, maybe the Peasant Arrows with the Pox in the back. Well, what I'm doing is I'm just kind of moving up my Wardens of Montfort here, just going to be taking some, unfortunately they are on auto fire, but I mean, yeah, these guys have shields, so pretty much a big waste here. But I am going to be targeting the Eye of Morsleep here, trying to take that guy down because he's an absolute terror in the night. And I do see a bit of an opening here, so I just rushed forward my Mounted Yeoman. I know they're going to be riding to their doom, but I'm like, okay, I'm going to shut down these archers in the beginning, just go after these Ungor Raiders, because I want my Mounted Yeoman archers to be able to get in position and take out the Eye of Morsleep. Paladins, in the meantime, are going to be flying overhead, so I just basically fly the Paladins up and over my opponent's army, trying to hope he'll waste ammunition, maybe throw boulders at them or shoot them with the Raiders or things like that. And I do get back here with the Mounted Yeoman, but it's a little bit lackluster as he does intercept me with the Blackhorns Ravagers, but I still have these guys distracted, right? The Cygor isn't throwing boulders, the Blackhorn Ravagers aren't in the front line, and these Raiders simply are not shooting, so that is a good situation. Over here, I do decide to dive, so now that I have all of his like anti-large, high-value forces over here attacking my yeoman, like, you know what, I'm just going to go in Royal Hippogriff Knights. These guys are just world beaters in melee. I mean, 46 melee attack isn't the highest, but 135 weapon strength is fat. So we are just slapping up these Ungor Spearmen, and we're also going to terror route them fairly quickly here once our Primal Fury goes away. And yeah, you can see they're going to get routed off really, really. So that's the situation I wanted to kind of open up this pocket. And basically now my Mounted Yeoman archers are just sitting, they're happy, and the Eye of Warsleep is going down incredibly quickly. In the front line, my peasant bowman archers are going to be going after his Ungor raiders. I need to get rid of all of his archers so I can have full mobility, not have any form of pressure on me. The front line engagement is about to be underway. These spearmen at arms are moving forward. The foot squires are going to be engaging against the Blackhorns Ravagers. And he does use a warp gaze on my Royal Hippogriff Knights for a moment, but I'm able to pull up in the air at the last second, and I accidentally ran into these Gorherds with shields. A little bit sloppy there, but the Ungor raiders, not Ungor raiders, but the mounted Royal Hippogriff Knights. The Royal Hippogriff Knights are going to be diving in there to shut those guys down with the Fey Enchantress. In the back line, the Paladins are just flying overhead. I'm just kind of zigzagging, trying to waste my opponent's ammunition, doing everything I can. The Foot Squires have engaged against the Blackhorns Ravagers, and the Ravagers will definitely win this. Their combat stats are just so much higher, and even though they kind of lack armor piercing a little bit, they're just a much more powerful unit in general. So you can see here my Foot Squires are taking a bit of a beating from the Ravagers, but you know what? They're doing Brettonia proud. Over here, the men-at-arms on the far side are just trying to screen out these poison hounds. I am shooting them with archers, but the Cygor pressure. So my opponent now has 3 Cygors. He has the Eye of Warsleep, and he has 2 standard Cygors here. He's basically just throwing boulders at my archers and slowly picking apart all of the different threats. So what I did is I landed the Royal Hippogriff Knights over here. I'm causing some disruption, trying to terror out his low-tier infantry and get some free value, and that opens up the back line. So now my 2 Paladins have jumped back here. They're attacking the Cygor. They're also able to get a little bit of a a good old 2-for-1 back here and disrupt these Ungor Raiders as well. So the battle is very, very even right now. My opponent does have a slight advantage in the bounce of power, actually. The infantry fight's definitely going in his favor. I've lost a lot of units in the back line, especially I think all my archers are offline now from that Cygor pressure. And here the Mounted Yeomen are going to be intercepting these hounds, trying to shut them down. But we're getting some good damage in. However, the Gorbals are coming back here, and I'm a little bit pinned down actually by these Ungor Raiders. And surprisingly, the Paladins do have relatively low mass on those guys, so I'm not able to push away. And these Gorbals are going to come in and just get so much damage on my Paladin. So this was a huge disaster right here, taking massive burst damage on the Paladin as my opponent does counterplay me very effectively. So that's a bad situation. Over here, though, it's going a little bit better. We're able to compromise his formation fully, and the Gorbals can't be everywhere at once, and the Royal Hippogriff Knights are just able to buckle the chaff so quick with their shock damage, already up to 72 kills. And of course, the Fey Enchantress has been healing them every chance she gets. The Mounted Yeoman Archers also providing that nice sustainable damage here on the Eye of Warsleep, so we're going to be able to bring this bad boy down in a matter of seconds here, which is very good. So just methodically working my way through his formations, trying my best to take out his high-value units here in these Cygors. Brave Scream going down doesn't do the most damage here on my Spearmen at Arms. I do also drop the Favor of the Fey to give them more melee attack. And the Eye of Warsleep should be going down here in a moment to these Spearmen as well as the Fey Enchantress. But on the other side of the battlefield, it spells disaster for Brettonia as the 2 Paladins are pretty much pushed off. The Chaos Warhounds are able to kind of chase him, but thankfully he's able to get back up in the sky, which means he's going to come back and I'll most likely be able to heal him. Balance of power is still slightly in my opponent's favor, but now that the Cygors are slowly starting to go down here, you can see the Eye of Warsleep has fallen. The noble peasants of Brettonia marching triumphantly over its corpse here. Yes, the true heroes. Up to 65 melee attack with the Favor of the Fey, which is definitely solid. So up here, this is kind of my pocket of strength. I have my troops here. I have my Royal Hippogriff Knights, my Paladins, Fey Enchantress, but down in the back, it's a bit of a disaster. The Foot Squires just being bullied heavily by the Blackhorns Ravagers. And yeah, they pretty much got chased off. I do have some men-at-arms fighting Ungor Spearmen herds, but for the most part, my entire formation over here is compromised. My archers are offline. We're kind of devolving into a bit of a pit fight. So I do have my Goon Squad going around here. My Mounted Yeoman Archers are going to be charging into melee to get rid of these Ungor Raiders. So just doing everything I can, trying to take advantage of my mobility here to push these guys off the battlefield. So we get in there, and I was about to do a slow-mo, but then I realized I was like, you know what? Ungor Raiders probably aren't going to get knocked back too far by these Wardens here. But nonetheless, we shut down his archers in the back line. Fey Enchantress is going to be rushing over here as well. And my 2 Paladins are able to isolate this Cygor because basically his Gorbals were busy fighting infantry and Foot Squires and Spearmen and stuff like that. So I did get the isolation here on the Cygor, and this guy's going down relatively quickly. Mounted Yeomen are still shooting, although I am running a little bit low on ammunition. These Mounted Yeomen here have about 40%. These guys have like 10%. We're running on bare bones here, but the other Cygor is about to fall. Balance of power is still slightly in my opponent's favor as he has pretty much cleaved most of my infantry, but I still have the Royal Hippogriff Knights. These guys are still going strong, hitting like trucks, and almost have 100 kills. So they've definitely been paying for themselves in clearing out a lot of the Beastmen pockets. They are pretty mobile as well. These bad boys do have 90 speed, so wherever you need to get rid of something that isn't like an elite target, they're pretty good at doing that. So this other Cygor here is going to be going down 676 HP as the Paladins of Brettonia are fighting quite fiercely for the lady, and you can see the Cygor here is going to be shattering. So from there, I mean, I can finish it off, but it's shattered, so I might as well go somewhere else and be a little bit more efficient. And over here, I do use my Royal Hippogriff Knights to finish off these Poison Hounds, so that is a really good engagement. And the Mounted Yeomen, you know, pretty bad in melee, but the Wardens of Montfort give them a little bit more sustainability here. So we're just cleaning up the back line. My opponent's doing the same thing. He's chasing down on my scraps here. And it has kind of devolved to a bit of a Death Star fight. So I have my blob, he has his blob. He still has the double Gorbel, which is really scary. And Malagor the Dark Omen actually did get some pretty substantial buffs to his combat stats in the Curse of the Vampire Coast DLC. So he's a lot more formidable than he used to be. I think he got like 10 melee attack and like a bunch of melee defense. I can't quite remember, but he's definitely one of the more powerful competitive choices, especially because of his abilities to summon Cygors. And those Cygors did so much damage. I mean, my Peasant Archers did not stand a chance. On the low ground here, I did take advantage of my Royal Hippogriff Knights and their speed. I'm just trying to like terror out his units, but the Gore Herds down here are a little bit more sustainable, and this is actually kind of a bad situation because the Gorbels are rushing in, and these bad boys are fast. They have 65 speed, so I'm going to be running right now. I pop a Regrowth, doing everything I can to not lose a model because they're still at 6 of 6 models, which is incredibly good, right? But it looks like one of them might get dragged down back here, which is going to be unfortunate. I mean, every one of these Royal Hippogriff Knights is kind of like a mini monster, but it looks like he is going to get away there. So you guys can see I do have a bit of a rallying pocket of strength here. I have some archers shooting in, Mounted Yeomen are kiting and shooting at Gore Herds, which isn't super efficient, but you got to do what you got to do. I have some Peasant Archers as well, 38 models, who are going to be shooting into the Gore Herds, just unleashing everything I can. I mean, these guys are going to be sacrificed to the Beast Gods here for sure, and you can see Big Daddy Gorbel is going to be anchoring his formation. I believe does he have Guardian? No, I don't think Gorbel does have Guardian. Anyways, we're going to be charging in with the Men-at-Arms and the Spear-Men-at-Arms and trying to do a bit of a timing here. Mounted Yeoman Archers and the Paladins, and as well as the Royal Hippogriff Knights, are all going to be diving this Gorbel, trying to get some free damage. And the charge, we didn't make contact with him yet. He's still at 3,400, goes down to 30, 31. So finally, we're starting to get some really good burst damage. But here you can see another Gorbel charging in. So the Paladin's definitely going to get spanked by the Gorbel. But oh no, this was like the moment I was like, oh, I got this. I got the Gorbels. But all of a sudden, another Cygor. It's like that scene in all those like epic fantasy movies or, you know, anything, Lord of the Rings, where like it looks like the good guys are going to win. And then you hear the Oliphants coming in the distance. That was like my general feeling when the Cygor was summoned. I was like, oh no, it's back. So he's going to start throwing some boulders most likely at my forces. Even him fighting in melee is a little bit scary. But the Gorbels are definitely taking a bit of damage, but so are my Paladins. This one Gorbel is pretty much almost dead. I'm going to be dropping a Chalice of Potions over here with the Enchantress as well, who almost got killed actually. So she was kind of standing over here doing a Mortis Engine effect with these Foot Squires, and then he double charged me with the Gorbels and Malagor and almost killed me. So that could have been the game right there. Balance of power is still relatively even. My opponent does have a balance of power advantage. The Royal Hippogriff Knights are fighting their hardest with the favor of the Fae, but I need to pull out of here right now. This is an absolute disaster. The Beastmen are just getting so aggressive and swarming in. I do get a rear charge with my Mounted Yeoman Archers, trying my best to disrupt this formation and buy some time for my retreating troops. And man, these Mounted Yeomen have just been MVPs all game, just taking down high-value targets, supporting when needed, and also buying some time for my Peasant Bowmen Archers with the Pox Arrows in the back to do their thing. So at this point, I was like, okay, if I keep fighting here, the game's going to go. I need to kind of drag out the Beastmen a little bit. They do have the Summon Cygor, so let's try and pepper him down with some of these Peasant Bowmen. And from there, maybe we can get another heal off. So the Enchantress is wavering. She's at 15, 16 leadership, extremely low. Royal Hippogriff Knights, however, are almost at their full fighting capacity, 166 kills. And, I mean, they only lost one model, so they're still pretty damn strong. These archers in the back are definitely going to get taken out here. My opponent's going to be charging these guys. But he does leave his Cygor a little bit unprotected, so I will be charging in just a moment, if I'm not mistaken, using my Hippogriff Knights, my Paladins, and things like that. But the Enchantress is coming back, and guys, I had one more heal, so I had been saving my Winds of Magic for some sort of a final cataclysmic battle, and the Enchantress is going to be piling in under here, just gathering everyone up. But firstly, I got to go take out the Cygor. So the Royal Hippogriff Knight's definitely up to the task. They're going to be able to chew this guy down pretty quick, and you can see his HP is just going to start tanking here in a moment. But yeah, my opponent reacts, so I got to pull back. The Ungor Spearmans, Gorbels, and all those bad boys are going to be piling back in. So I'm like, okay, this is it. All the marbles are on the table here. The Royal Hippogriff Knights and the Paladins are going to fall back. We're going to stack them all on top of each other, so we can go ahead and fast forward while this happens here. And my opponent's going to be regrouping, chasing down some scraps as well. But the Cygor's almost gone, and I could have waited, I guess, for everyone to get in there, but I wanted to like finish the game and just get in there and be aggressive. So I get the heal off here. The Paladins get the healing, and that actually normalizes the bounce power a little bit. Blackhorn Ravagers on the flanks I'm going to be trying to get a free charge on because they are separated from the main formation. And the Cygor in the back is also a little bit separated again. So I'm going to be using the Paladins to fly over there and take him out. Paladins are just so good against Beastmen, that anti-large, the mobility. And this is also buying me a little bit more time to regroup my forces. However, by sending my Paladins over there and not committing, I do sacrifice my Foot Squires as well as these Men-at-Arms here who aren't going to be able to do much. But I didn't want that Cygor throwing boulders at me. That could have been something that could have just changed the dynamic of the game so heavily. So the mounted yeoman archer is doing a bit of a feint there to pull his forces away. So now his main force got pulled away, which was exactly what I wanted. Now the mounted yeoman archers have done their job. The Gorbals are a little bit isolated here, and I'm able to kind of charge them with the paladins. So the two noble paladins of Brettonia are going to be swooping in on the Gorbal, who only has 600 HP, and they narrowly miss him as he kind of zigzags there, but they're going to be charging in. They get a hit there, they get a hit there, and I have the Gorbals where I want them. The rest of my army is going to be swooping in here. The Beastmen forces, of course, not being able to keep up with the mobility of the Royal Hippogriff Knights as they cheer and shout in the name of the lady here. And we do have a Chalice of Potions that's going to be going down as well, because we have them corralled here. So when the Chalice of Potions is really close to going off, I actually pull back all my forces because I don't want too much friendly fire here. So here it comes from the skies, a very, very long cast, and boom, right in the middle of those Beastmen forces. That's going to crumble the Goreherds and everyone else. So this one Gorbal was taken out by the Paladins, but the other Gorbal is definitely putting a number, and he kills my other Paladin. So we go 1 for 1 there, but now the Royal Hippogriff Knights and everyone are going to be diving in. Mounted Yeomen coming in as well. Unfortunately, the mounted, or the Wards of Montfort, I don't think are alive anymore. But this is a good situation. Gorbal is going to be taking a ton of armor-piercing damage here from the Hippogriff Knights. Favor of the Fae going down, giving them almost 100 melee attack, which is absolute insanity. And the Fae Enchantress is going to be charging in using her Mortis Engine effect to drain down these Goreherds. I just wanted to keep them from getting back here and saturating this fight to buy me a little bit more time to get rid of the Gorbals. So the Gorbal is broken off here at this point. You can see my Paladin. These guys are going to be chasing him. Now my opponent does have a little pocket of strength, but with the Royal Hippogriff Knights and their terror and the Fae Enchantress nearby, able to kind of provide that support with the Mortis Engine effects, you can just see that these Goreherds are being ripped to shreds by the Royal Hippogriff Knights. The Mortis Engine effects going down. That's going to be pretty much all she wrote for the Beastmen, as Malagor is just going to be brutally beaten down by all of these elite targets. He's trying to snipe out the Fae Enchantress, which was a good play, but the Royal Hippogriff Knights are going to be the ones to clinch the day. So very well played to my opponent. That was an insane game. That was so close, so back and forth. He brought a super heavy-duty build. I mean, that's a tough one to take down. Those Cygors with protection from Gorbals and Chaff Spears are just really, really tough, but Mounted Yeoman Archers did a great job. They were able to poke down Cygors, provide me with utility and distractions and just all kinds of mad value from them. I think the double Paladin's pretty much a must as well, because even if they go with like heavy Centaur play or things like that, Centaurs still are large, and the bonus for large and the Paladins and their mobility, it's really going to help you keep up against the Beastmen, which I think is a must. On top of that, Royal Hippogriff Knights were absolute gangsters. These guys were able to just single-handedly rout infantry and spears and clear up avenues of attack from my other troops. They gave me stopping power against Gorbals and Cygors. I actually really liked them here. I felt like they were incredibly useful. Other archers did okay, but they were basically the main target for the Cygors. The Cygors obviously knew that as an archers, or the commander. The Cygors themselves probably didn't know, but the commander, Malagor the Dark Peacock there, probably knew that these guys would take them down pretty quick. So he focused them down, did a great job, and yeah, I can't say much more. It was just a super fun back and forth game. Honestly, a couple moments, one unit being trapped and not getting away could have changed the entire dynamic of the game for sure. And yeah, my opponent's army, like I said in the beginning, very, very solid stuff, very hard to deal with, and yeah, he put on a good showcase for sure. So very well played to my opponent, the Clunge Wombler. Look forward to running into you again on ladder, and hopefully you guys enjoyed this Brettonia versus Beastmen game. Have an excellent night, guys, and take care.